Let's talk about the pros and cons of living in Phoenix, Arizona. So, I moved to Phoenix about 25 years ago. I moved here from New Orleans, Louisiana. Prior to that, I've lived in California, I've lived in Washington, I've lived in New York, and I've lived in Illinois. Experienced many of the different climates. I came out here to go to Arizona State University. It's the only college I applied to, only one that accepted me. And I'm so glad I made that decision. One of the best decisions in my life. So let's talk about the first pro. First pro is the weather. After mentioning all those different states, Los Angeles, Seattle, Chicago, New York, and New Orleans, I would take Phoenix's weather any day of the week over any of those other ones. Why? Don't have to deal with hurricanes in Louisiana. Don't have to deal with the really bad snowstorms in Chicago and New York. Don't have to deal with the rain all the time in the Pacific Northwest. And don't have to deal with potentially earthquakes and other stuff that goes on in California. And don't get me wrong, California's a beautiful state. There's a lot of cool places and has the ocean, which so many of us love. But still, Phoenix's weather, I absolutely love it. And sure, in the summer, might get 120 degrees a couple days of the week, or months, or whatever. Not a big deal. We're inside, we're in the air conditioning. You stay inside, you go in your pool, it's not a problem. I absolutely love it. I wouldn't trade it for anything. And if you've thought about moving here, and you hear the summers are so bad, let me tell you what. I've lived in Chicago and New Orleans and New York where the humidity is awful. We have considerably less humidity. I would take our summers over those any day of the week. Yeah, it's awesome. So, next pro. One of the best things that I love about Phoenix and Arizona is, and not many people know about this, is the ability to go to different climates even in your own state. So as an example, we can go up north 2 hours to Flagstaff, Arizona, where their winters are very comparable to a place like Chicago. They get a lot of snow, so if you like skiing, you can live in Phoenix and get the benefit of our other seasons and then travel to Flagstaff to get the, snow sports, skiing, snowshoeing, whatever else you want to do. But you don't have to deal with it year round. Plus, the ability to drive to places like that. It's a 2-hour drive to get to Flagstaff. And if you want to go somewhere else, go to Las Vegas. It's a 5 or 6 hour drive. So many of us like to go to Vegas for a weekend or whatever the case is to experience their city for a couple days or whatever. And then also, if you're thinking about, moving to California or Phoenix, you can also live in Phoenix and then it's a 6-hour drive or so to California, San Diego, Los Angeles, and get over there for a period of time without having to live there all the year or all the time year round. Or it's an hour flight to San Diego, Las Vegas. It's so awesome to experience those things while all living here in Phoenix. I absolutely love it, strongly encourage it. You live in Phoenix, hop in your car, you go north in the winter, see some snow, and that's all you have to deal with it. You don't even have to shovel it. It's so awesome. The next pro, golf. Not a golf pro. I mean, you can be a golf pro and golf pros love it here, but wow, we are like the golf mecca. Golf courses everywhere. And not only that, one of the biggest advantages to our golfing mecca is that you can golf year round. Places like Illinois and Chicago, more specifically where I've lived, or New York, there might be some awesome golf courses, and there are. Can't golf, or it's very difficult to golf when it's snowing, whereas here, year round. In the summer, is it hot? Is it harder to golf? Sure, tee off earlier, get done by 11. It's not that bad. Maybe in the afternoons it's a little more difficult, but so what? You still have, let's call it November through April, where you can golf and it's absolutely stunning. Just The landscape and everything around gives you the opportunity to enjoy your round of golf at so many different golf courses that we have to offer, and I strongly suggest you do so. The next pro is food. Holy guacamole! The options that we have for different types of food and restaurants is so amazing. Now, granted, we're not the Manhattans or the New Yorks or the San Franciscos or whatever, or wherever else, but we have caught on so much to these hip restaurants that offer so many different type of food options that are really, really popular and really, really good. And they're everywhere. Whether you're in Chandler, Phoenix, Scottsdale, you name it, they're everywhere. And they're so fun to be at. There's not usually waiting lists, and if there are, they're not that long. You can make a reservation, get in quicker, and it's just a fun place to be to enjoy the different types of restaurants and food options that we have. Mexican food, we are the absolute mecca for it. So many awesome restaurants that you have to try when you're here, and of course, margaritas, one of my favorite drinks. Another pro is the newness of things around you. It's so cool to drive around and basically everything here is so new. So, sometimes roads are dilapidated in other cities and you start to feel depressed. Here, everything is new. And on top of it, they keep redoing even the new stuff. So it's gonna feel like everything is modern, including homes, architecture, shopping. We're continuously tearing down old malls and building new ones, and the ones that are here just feel new all the time. It's a great place to be, to experience that newness. I love it, and it's just fun to be around. One of my favorite things about Phoenix, and it helps as a realtor, but it really helps as someone living in the city, especially after living in other cities across the country, is the grid-like system that we have, which basically means if you look at a map, all of our streets for the most part run north, south, east, west, pretty much the entire map area. So you can stay on a road and go north for 30, 40, 50 miles, same west, south, and east, and it makes it so much easier to get around the entire city. In addition to that, our freeway systems are absolutely incredible. We have a freeway called the 101 Loop, which literally loops you around the entire valley. Not too many times you would actually have to loop, but if you did, this loop offers you that availability. So if you live on, the northwest part of town in like Peoria, and you have to get to Scottsdale, you can take that 101 Loop all the way around, and it gets you there fairly quickly. And then if you don't want to take the freeway, you just hop on whatever road you want to get to where you are going to, and it takes you on that one road all the way across town, usually. I love it. You don't have to, cross 50 different streets to get to yours. It's just so easy to get around, and I absolutely love it. And once you're here, you'll see the benefit of it more than me just talking about it. It's an absolutely amazing feature. I love that our city is set up that way, and it's so awesome. One of the other pros about living in Phoenix is our low tax base and low taxes. So I've lived in, again, like Chicago, New York, in California for that matter, where there's really, really high taxes. Now, some could argue that with those higher taxes, you get more stuff for that. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Here, our taxes are affordable. A big driving factor as to why many people move out here, and it's just so nice knowing that you don't have to pay more for something if you don't really know you're gonna get return on it. Our taxes are affordable, they make home payments more affordable, and so much more desirable. So, one of the other pros about our city is our airport, Sky Harbor Airport, an absolutely amazing airport with so many different options. Over the years, it's really, really grown a lot. One of those things is with restaurants. So, okay, you fly into Phoenix, you want to get your rental car and leave, but what if you have a layover, or what if you just want to hang out. Some of our best restaurants have opened up their second restaurant of the same at the airport. And it's so awesome to be able to experience those good food options at the airport. Terminals are easy access to get to, rental cars, you name it. It's just a good airport to use if you're coming in to stay, then getting your rental car or your own car, hopping on an Uber, train system, whatever it is, Sky Harbor offers it. It's an amazing airport. It's so fun to be at, and I'm glad we have it. Sports teams. After having lived in some big cities across the country, Phoenix has all of the major sports teams, starting with football, Arizona Cardinals. Next, basketball, Phoenix Suns. At shooting of this video, we're heading into the NBA Finals. Been a while since we've been there. Pretty solid team, fun to watch. Baseball, got the Arizona Diamondbacks. At time of this shooting, not having a great season, but they have won the championship before. Still a fun team to watch at times. Then, Phoenix Coyotes, hockey team in the desert, but we have it. We have all of the sports teams, super fun to watch, and arguably, most importantly, spring training. Everyone loves coming out for spring training games, and they're so much fun to go to, so much fun to watch, and I strongly encourage in the spring, if you're ever here, go find a game, go visit, watch, enjoy it, enjoy the weather, enjoy the baseball, enjoy the people watching. It's a great place to be. So now we've talked about a whole bunch of pros. So there's gotta be a bunch of cons, right? Well, in my opinion, no. And the cons to me are pretty obvious. The first, now as a pro, I said the weather. I'm gonna list it as a con too, because in the summer, it does get hot. But, like I said earlier, if it's 120 degrees out, so that maybe is for the equivalent of a week or two throughout the entire summer months, so what? You're inside in the air conditioning, or outside in your relaxing pool. So to me, it has to be listed as a con, but it's not really a con totally, because in other areas of the country, it's humid, it's raining, it's whatever. I would still take our summer over that. Now, the next one, dust storms. So I mentioned that, we don't really get any major weather here, which we don't. But in the summer, we do get dust storms. Call them whatever you want. When I first moved here, I didn't even think they had a name. But then it evolved to monsoons, and then haboob, whatever that is. But basically, check this out. Like in, let's call it July to September, you see these massive dust storms covering the skies of Phoenix. It's quite the sight to see. What does it really mean? Your stuff gets dusty. Streets get dusty. If you have a pool, a backyard, they get dusty. Your car, if it's outside, it gets dusty. So what? You go through the car wash, you get your hose, you hose stuff down. It's not a big deal. It's not like it, shuts off your electricity for a long time. Now, with those haboobs, maybe there's times where there's some what we call microbursts with the storms, the monsoon, which isn't really a monsoon, but some of the lightning causes some power to go out for a couple days. Usually in most areas of the city, doesn't happen, and if it does, the effects don't last too long, and I would still take that over other things that happen to other areas. So I have to say it's a con, but to me, whatever. I can deal with it. It's not a problem. Pool gets dusty, you clean it up. Your car gets dusty, you clean it up. Next day, all is well. So this one, might be a little bit edgy. What is it? The educational system. I looked on Google to try to figure out, what are some negatives about Phoenix? Because really, I wasn't coming up with any. And it listed the educational system for Phoenix, and maybe all of Arizona, but this is for Phoenix. As a realtor, for the longest time, There would be times where I would meet with clients and talk about the educational system and their schools that their kids would have to go in and say, make sure you do your research and look at greatschools.org or whatever. And, living in Chicago, New York, and say in my head thinking those schools were really superior. Let me tell you what, I have a daughter. She's been in the schooling system for 5-ish years at time of this video. And I know that not all schools are like hers or ones that she's going to be going into. Let me tell you, my eyes have been open to this. Our educational system might not be perfect. I don't know of anyone's that is. I love it. I think there's so many gems in different school districts that are strongly worth looking at, and basically make sure when you're looking at homes or apartments to rent or whatever your living accommodations are going to be, look in those schools and really look to someone to trust to give you the real facts about those schools in that area, because my guess is the internet and the broad opinions probably are going to be negative, but in reality, they're a lot better than what they're pointing to. Where my daughter is and where we live, I love it. And there's other areas in town where my clients have bought and lived and friends, and they love it too. Don't let the internet dictate what those school ratings might be, because sometimes they might be true, but overall, the majority of times, I don't think they are. I'm very fond of ours, and I love living here because of it. So here's another edgy one. I'm sorry, but another negative about Phoenix, snowbirds. So snowbird, what is it? Who is it? People who live in areas where it snows to then visit or live where we are in Phoenix or Scottsdale those times of year. Now, why is it edgy? Because I get it. There's so many people from different areas that have migrated or live here part of the year because of the weather that love it here. And they help our economy, they help real estate, all that stuff. But why is it bad? Because sometimes they're just crazy drivers. They're on these streets driving like maniacs. We already have enough maniacs on the road. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying every snowbird is a car driving maniac. I'm just saying they're used to their streets, their climates. They come here November through April or whatever, and our streets get more flooded, so then there's more traffic, not flooded with rain, and then we have some more crazy drivers. Is it really, really bad? No, just something to look out for. And let me really get straight with you here. I'm stretching here because I love snowbirds. I'm from Chicago, and I love seeing more people from Chicago here. I'll go to a Suns game, and I'm still a Bulls fan. I see more Bulls fans than Suns fans. Or a Coyotes game with the Blackhawks, there's more Blackhawks fans. So I love our snowbirds. So when I say that they're, on the streets and driving like maniacs, don't get me wrong. I still love you, especially if you're from Chicago. That's my city, I'll always love it, and I love our snowbirds. So, the last con about Phoenix. So earlier I mentioned the newness about living in Phoenix and how awesome that is. Well, in my opinion, many pluses have their negatives too. I think that's just being fair, right? Well, along with that newness means a lot of our history gets torn down. So as you drive around town, everything looks new. I said that looks cool. Here's the other thing. We lose our richness and our history, which so many times I think is a positive about other areas. So I do think it's cool seeing new stuff and having availability of, like a Walgreens on every corner or Costco on every street. That's exaggerating, not really. But we don't have, the older home communities in abundance, and it's cool to see that architecture. Or downtown Phoenix, we don't really have the old school architecture that was there from the 50s or before that. Much of that's been ripped out, and new condos, new businesses, stadiums, whatever it is. It's kind of sad. We lose that. We don't see our skyline, or city line with different older type buildings. It's all new. It's all higher up and new. It is what it is, right? Sometimes it kind of sucks though. It's nice seeing older buildings with their cool, rich architecture, which we don't have. So that's it. That's our pros and cons. If you're ever considering a move to Phoenix, I strongly suggest you look at all these different things for yourself. It's an awesome place to be. I don't see myself moving. I love it here. Wouldn't trade it for anything. And I recommend you move here too. Reach out with questions. Would love to chat. Thanks for watching and have a great day.